You want to be a Division I basketball player? You want to play college ball? There's 5 types of players that get recruited to the next level. 5 prototypes of players. We're going to break all of them down in this video. The first prototype is a point guard, a shooting guard, or a combo guard. Now understand the order doesn't matter, but if you fit into these 5 prototypes of players, you'll have a very good chance of getting recruited. In these 5 prototypes, okay, there's going to be subsections. So the first section, point guard, you're a pass-first point guard, you're a guy that can get into the paint, you can make others better, you're super fast, you can pick guys up full court, and you can knock down shots of a ball screen so players can't go under. This type of player always gets recruited because every team needs an engine. Now there's a combo guard version of this type of player who's not necessarily a point guard. A lot of times we'll call him a zero guard, but he's not necessarily a shooting guard. He plays with the ball in his hands. He can create for himself and for others. Yeah, he might want to score more, but again, he predominantly plays with the ball in his hands. So to give you guys an example, a pass-first prototype point guard, Chris Paul, a scoring-first prototype of point guard, or a combo guard point guard, Damian Lillard. All right. The third type of player that falls into the subcategory is a shooting guard, a traditional shooting guard. I want you guys to think someone like Klay Thompson, all right, someone that can come off down screens, flare screens, can catch and shoot with very little space, all right? So those are the 3 types of players. Now, if this shooting guard could also attack and create off the dribble, he is a special player, all right? So the first prototype, point guards, combo guards, or natural shooting guard. If you could fit into one of these 3 molds, you'll have a very, very good chance of getting recruited. The second type of player that always gets recruited is a do-it-all wing or a 3-and-D wing. So for a do-it-all wing, I want you guys to think AJ DeBonsa, LeBron James. These are big style wings that could play in the pick and roll, they could cut, they can make threes, and you can initiate quite a bit of offense out of them. They are often very athletic and they could do everything. Another great player like this is the point guard from Europe, from Greece, on Virginia. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he's a perfect example. 6'8", 6'9", can play on the ball screen, can set screens sometimes, can attack closeouts. These are the type of players, that get recruited a lot. AJ DeBonsa is a perfect example of this, which is why he's going to go top 3 in the draft, all right? He's a do-it-all forward that can do absolutely everything. The second type of wing that gets recruited like this is the 3-and-D wing. I want you guys to think this wing is an elite defender. He's very long. He's very athletic. He could really make a catch and shoot 3. He could guard multiple positions, the 1, the 2, the 3, and often the 4, all right? And he could catch lobs. So when you think of a 3-and-D wing, there's a lot of guys that fit this mold. You could go someone smaller, like a Lou Dort, okay? Or you could go someone bigger, like an Otto Porter. These are type of guys that get recruited a lot because they're versatile, they could guard multiple positions, and they help the spacing of the offense. Third type of player that gets recruited is what I like to call a stretch 4 or a point forward 4. So if we're thinking a point forward 4, I want you to think of someone like Draymond Green. And if we're thinking a stretch 4, I want you to think of someone like Dirk, like Lauri Markkanen. Very different players, but very effective players. A stretch 4 is essentially a bigger player that plays at the top. Okay, what I mean by this is a lot of offense is initiated through him. Let's say a point guard's bringing the ball up on the right side or the left side. The stretch 4 is usually trailing the play. He's often an inbounder, and he can really shoot, which helps the spacing of your offense. If you have a big guy that can really shoot, not only is there more space for guards and wings to attack, but there's way better spacing for everybody else, and it allows the continuity of offense to be better. I'll give you guys a perfect example. A stretch 4 is often a guy that pops. So if I'm a point guard and I come off a ball screen and the stretch 4 is here, we're able to drag the big defender out so much further because the stretch 4 is going to pop. So again, perfect example, Lauri Markkanen. All right. Now, a point forward 4, a do-it-all guy. Right? This guy's very important because oftentimes he can even bring up the ball. You could reverse it through him. He's going to be the initiator of handoffs. He's going to be a very high IQ player. He's going to be a guy that creates more shots for big men and for wings and for point guards. So do-it-all 4, okay, is one of the only positions where you might not need to be elite at one skill, but because you can do everything so well and you're big enough, you could be like a jack of all trades. Draymond Green doesn't even average 10 points and he'll be a Hall of Famer. All right. The fourth prototype of player, all right, and I broke this into 2 subsections because, to be honest, basketball still does favor heights. And even though centers aren't always the best players, they're often going to have the highest chance of making the NBA. So the fourth prototype of player is a rim running 5. I want you guys to think Derek Lively, think of all the rim runners, okay? Think Caleb Wilson. All right, Caleb Wilson has some more game, but think of a guy that could come off pick and rolls. He could jump to the moon. He could catch anything. He offensive rebounds like crazy, and he's a constant threat on the rim. What rim running fives do is they put so much pressure on the backside of the defense that it creates so much extra shots for not only them, but for the guard in the ball screen and for shooters. Because if you don't tag the roller, he is going to dunk everything. And if you don't box him out, he is going to rebound everything. So a rim running five is one of the most important positions in modern day basketball, especially if you have an elite lob throwing guard. Now, modern basketball can also make a catch and shoot three. He is special, and he's a very good chance to get recruited to the NBA because, again, he does not need to score a lot of points to affect a game. Secondly, this rim running five is often always an amazing shot blocker, okay? He protects your paint. And the last prototype of player is actually two players put into one. We got a stretch five, very much like a stretch four. I want you guys to think someone like Brook Lopez. He helps the spacing on the court so much because he's now dragged out. You could play five out, you could play four out, one in. You don't always need to put him at the dunker. And what happens is the more players that play in the perimeter, the more space there is inside the paint. So what I want you guys to think, if you're playing at the college level, not only does a stretch five allow you to play a lot more dribble drive, but it opens the paint for guys to finish. There's less help in there, and it allows these bigs to be able to get a full head of steam to run in an offensive rebound. And the second type of player is a back to the basket five. This is your traditional center. Yes, they're still important. It might not be as important in the NBA, but for college, it is very important. I want you guys to think Jokic, okay? Yeah, Jokic is a do-it-all forward. He could pass the ball, but a lot of the way he scores is back to the basket. A lot of these back to the basket guys are still highly sought after in college because at the end of the day, even though the post-up is being used yes and less, if you have a legit post-up guy, a guy that could really score down there, Joel Embiid. A perfect example was Luke Garza in college. Even though Luke Garza could really shoot, he was very good down low. If you have a guy that could score back to the basket, he puts a lot of pressure on defenses. And the more players you have to guard on the court, the harder your team is to guard. So these are the 5 prototypes of players that get recruited. There's actually 10 sections in here, right? And I'm going to go over them one more time. Point guard, okay, combo guard, shooting guard, that's section 1. Do it all wing, okay, or 3 and D wing, section 2. Stretch 4, section 3. Rim running 5, section 4. Back to the basket or stretch 5, section 5. If you could fall into one of these prototypes of players, if you could guard your position and you have 1 to 2 elite skill sets, you will always play in college. I help hoopers understand their game, body, and mind. Please follow me, guys, on YouTube. I'm going to be dropping videos twice a week. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok at JadenCoyHoops. Thank you.